Hi, I've had a few people come and ask me what cameras I'm using at the moment and what cameras I have used, as I've been making short films and music videos and stuff over the quite a few years now. So I thought I'd just give you a run through from the very first thing I had right through to what I'm using now. Just in a bit of a rush, but have a bit of a look at them all anyway. So here's the first camera that I ever had. It's not actually this one because I can't find my actual one, but I bought this one recently, which is pretty much the same. It's a 110 film camera, not a video camera. I used to just lie around on the ground and play with it, looking through the viewfinder like that, and playing with a couple of toys. And what I was doing at the time, not realizing this, was trying to move things back and forth. It was actually a there we go. It was actually a dinosaur and a toy soldier that I had, and I've bought these recently for a film I've made. And I used to just move them back and forwards like this, and without knowing it, I was playing with forced perspective. And that's when I was 10 years old, just messing around on the lawn. Looking back on that now, I find it a lot more interesting to reflect on what I was doing at the time. But yeah. The second camera I bought was this one here. Okay, the second camera I had was this. It's a Sony TRV-820E. Now this was, I believe, Sony's first digital high-8 camera. Was quite a significant change in cameras available to the domestic market. It's the first time you could record digital footage on tape, and it was instead of recording analog footage and then converting it to digital. And that was quite a big difference in clarity, even though it's only a PAL resolution, 576 by whatever it was. I can't even remember, it was that long ago, camera. We made a number of music videos and short films on this thing. It's quite a nifty little camera. I've still got it and it still runs perfectly well. We don't use it very often because of the low resolution. But one of the really fascinating things about this camera is this bit at the back, which is of absolutely no use to a filmmaker whatsoever. But if you pull this forward and flip this open, you can slot a piece of photo paper through there, and you can take stills with this camera and you can print them out. It's got a small dye sub printer built into the camera. Completely useless. I've used it once in the last 20 years that I've had this camera. But anyway, there you go. That was camera number 2. So after we've been using that camera for a while, we decided to step it up a little bit, and we went and bought this. It's the Sony Z1p. It was one of their first large format cameras available for a domestic market, sort of what they called a prosumer camera. And the great thing was that this shot in 1080. So it was the first time we managed to get our hands onto a high def camera. Now it wasn't the full 1080 by 920, it was 1080 by 1440, so, and interlaced, not progressive. Progressive was something that people were still trying to manage and not quite getting there yet. So this was a good intermediate step. Before that, things were really starting to get exciting with personal cameras at the time. It's not a pocket-sized camera by any stretch of the imagination, as you can see. But what it did have was this 3CCD system. So a lot of cameras at the time were shooting red, green, blue in sequence. This thing shot red, green, blue simultaneously using 3 layered sensors instead of a single sensor that sampled 3 colors in turn. So that was quite a major thing. And also it was one of the first times that I had an iris control, focus and zoom, everything all at my fingertips here that easily. I still use this occasionally. It's got fantastic low light with this huge piece of glass at the front. It does have a very nice clean image in it. and you can get it around into places you can't get some of the cameras. I've shot a few music videos on this and a large number of short films over the years. Despite the fact it's just not particularly convenient to lug around, it's still an absolutely brilliant camera to use. It's fun to use. I like it, and I'll never see myself throwing it out. Okay, the next camera we got after that one was Sony VG10. Now I don't have the VG10 here because some nice person thought that they would steal it from the back of my car. That was just absolutely shattering thing that happened. They took the VG10 and they took the set of really nice lenses I had with it. One of the wonderful things about the VG10 camera was it was one of the first video cameras that Sony did with the interchangeable lenses. So suddenly you could get all of the stuff that people were playing with DSLR, but in an actual purpose-built video camera. Had fantastic sound on it. It would pick up everything. Quite often we actually thought the sound on it was too fantastic because it would pick up everything, much like this fella here does. But it was had really good preamps in it, so it was easy to put another microphone on it to get good directional sound and all that sort of thing. So the VG10 was the third camera we had, and an absolutely fantastic piece of kit as well. And to whoever stole that, I hope you're having a really good time with it and that you accidentally swallow it and choke to death. People who nick stuff out the back of other people's cars, yeah. So anyway, we ended up with another camera after the VG10. Well, around about the same time as the VG10, I needed something that I could just stick on a pole. We actually really got this for doing behind the scenes and making of footage for the other stuff that we were doing, and it's this little Sony Handycam. Now this turns out to be an absolutely lovely piece of kit as well. It's a full HD camera, and one of the first times that there was a full HD camera in this sort of really small, easy to hold form factor. But we ended up being able to flip this around, and it turns out that it's actually one of the really early, really good vlogging cameras. It's got pretty okay sound, a simple lens, and you can flip the screen around. Now, I never use this for vlogging, but I've actually been considering just picking this one up and running around with it for doing a video log with. And here's what the CX100 does look like and sound like by itself. Just thought I should give it a go. It's an old school piece of kit, but there's nothing wrong with it. I just figured out actually I could probably fit the bottom of my GoPro rig onto the CX100. Anyway, after I had the VG10 stolen out of my car, I went and bought a Sony A7s, and this is the camera that I'm shooting on right now, so I can't actually, well, here we go. Here I have it on my desk sitting in front of the Mac, and it's just something that I can easily pick up and run around with. It doesn't have inbuilt stabilization, so I tend to use it for locked off shots, and of course it's got the interchangeable lenses on, which makes it extremely flexible for me. Around about the same time I started getting more GoPros. I've earlier bought a couple of GoPro HDs and GoPro 2s, and after that a couple of GoPro 4s. So right through this time I've been collecting a large number of GoPros, and more recently of course 2 of these GoPro 5s. Once again, they're cameras that I get, and they're not absolutely fantastic, but they are a really good workhorse. So I found myself quite unexpectedly picking this up and using it on a day-to-day basis. Basically every day I've got 2 of these sitting in my pockets. Got it rigged into my car, I've got it sitting on my desk. I carry it around with the Rode Video Micro mic attached to this particular one, and at the same time I've always got this one here lugging around that I can put down on a desk or a bench or in a window somewhere and get some of that nice scenic and time-lapse footage typically at the same time. So these here really are my workhorses at the moment. I would love something else to be my workhorse that didn't have the distorting lens and stuff on it, but it would have to be as easy to use. But I've ranted enough about these in my last couple of video logs anyway. So that's sort of some of the vlogging stuff I've done, and I've talked about cameras I've talked about cameras like the Z1p that we used for production, and we continue to use those for doing production work, of course, outside of the vlogging thing. Now the A7s we got to replace the stills function of the VG10. At the same time, we needed to step up the video work we were doing. We couldn't really step it up much more with the Z1p and other things, so we bought a VG20 and also an A7sRII. That was for a lot of stills work we were doing in photography, but at the same time we needed to step up our video production work. So we went and looked around at a large number of cameras and things that we could get, and there's been this huge explosion of DSLR at the time, and people going and getting the 5D Mark IIs, I think it was, coming out at the time. More and more people shooting on the A7s and the R2 for because of the fact that it's got such a fantastic sensor and really good low light and that sort of thing. But we wanted to do something that was was more beyond the DSLR shooting, but we didn't have a budget for going and getting some of the massive cameras that were available. So we popped out and talked to the guys at Photogear in Auckland, and we got a couple of these. This is the Blackmagic 4K Cine camera. Well, at least this bit here is that thin slice in the middle there. If I take the rubber sleeve off, Blackmagic 4K Cine camera. That there is an absolutely fantastic piece of kit, and I love it to pieces. A lot of people give it a bit of jip because it does lack in some areas. I mean, it's not a full professional film camera, but it gets an absolutely fantastic image. It has one thing on it that I particularly like, is I like a lot of camera motion, to actually move the camera around a lot. And this particular camera has a global shutter, which means it samples the entire shutter frame all at once, so you don't get a scan delay thing like you do with the GoPros and that whole jelly vision thing when your camera's moving around a lot. We keep these rigged up in these tilter rigs. We've got two of these cameras, they stay in these rigs. We have a set of Samyang prime lenses that go with them. We've been building up a collection of lenses over time. These are our mainstream workhorse cameras. I don't use them for vlogging much, as you can see. Walking around like that all day would be a bit of a pain in the butt, but for the film work we do, where we're helping people making short films, for shooting music videos, doing commercial shoots or anything, this is the fella that we keep on hand for all of that sort of stuff. It's an incredibly flexible camera. It gets great footage. It's really good in low light. I'm not going to do a tech review here on it or anything like that. There's hundreds of those online you can go and look at. And amongst all of those, we've also got the Osmo. I love the Osmo. It's a fantastic camera. It's the same camera that you find on the Phantom 4, of course. It runs off the phone. There's a lot of smarts in here. It's a fantastic gimbal, and if you're moving around at all and you want to go do some tricky shots that you can't get one of those other cameras through a window, for example, or pass things off, where you need something lightweight to move around quickly, this thing here, it shoots in 4K. You can get great control over the image, and as I said, the gimbal is absolutely fantastic and gives you a beautiful clean image every time. If you're running around a hell of a lot and you need to smooth out your footage, it has a lot of add-ons here, like the Z-axis gimbal, which sort of plugs in between that and gives you that isoelastic arm thing to stop things from bouncing around too much. So we got this sort of in the middle of all these other things, because it just filled in a gap of the requirements that we had with some of the film we were doing. And of course there's the cameras on the camera on the Phantom 4 and the camera on the Phantom 2 that we've got, and the camera on the Phantom 3. Probably forgotten something. Oh yes, I have. We've got a Canon D60 as well, or 60D. I never got the Canon and Nikon ones around the right way. Oh yes, there's one other camera that I actually use a surprising amount, but I always forget to include it when I'm talking to people about cameras, and that's this one. The iPhone 7 camera, I would have to say, would be one of the most underestimated cameras available. You can just get anywhere with it. It's not wonderful in low light, but it's not bad either. If you can get light up a bit, you could shoot a whole feature film with this thing. I swear you could. It's certainly going to be better than a lot of cameras that you see out there that are so-called commercial these days. And I reckon with a few of these things around, you could, as I say, shoot a whole commercial film for a fraction of the cost. And I believe somebody's gone and done that, and it's something that I'd love to do at some stage, just because it's an absolutely crazy nut bar idea, and crazy nut bar ideas sort of seem to strike a chord with me. So, but anyway, there's one other camera I've got that I can't pull down at the moment, but that's where the GoPro comes in again. We've got the Logitech webcam here. It's the C920. Once again, a very, very underestimated camera. It's something that's not the best camera in the world. If you need a camera that you can just have sitting on top of your monitor all the time, that you can get a pretty good image out of and pick up some pretty clean sound with, and you don't want to mess around and set up a DSLR and camera and things on your desk, and you're not in your usual shooting space, it's there. I can shoot some pretty good stuff with it, and I've used it a fair bit. The footage that comes off it is equally as good as what I might get off the GoPro if given the correct lighting. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Tomorrow I'm going to do something more interesting, I hope. We're getting the studio started and clearing out where we're going to start piling stuff back into. Hopefully that's going to be quite an interesting thing to do, and we'll include you in that as much as we can. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for getting to the end. Please click on the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have, we'd love you to share this out and get more people to subscribe. I'm really on a drive to try and get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. That would be absolutely lovely when I can do that one. If there's anything that you want to ask, put it in the comments below, all that sort of thing. Okay, cheers.